the CBD area is very quiet. It used to be one of our most successful shops, but right now it's probably down 40 to 50% in sales. Just reflective of the fact that lots of corporates are deciding to keep their offices shut or working remotely.
This week on Dirty Linen, we are zipping around the country speaking to people in different cities. And today I am really excited to be heading to Brisbane, which is one of my favourite places to visit. I love eating my way around Brisbane. Today we are chatting to Taro Akimoto from Taro's Ramen. His mission, it's a big one, it's to provide Australia's best ramen. Taro, welcome to Dirty Linen. Thank you so much for having a chat.
Oh, thank you, Dani. Yeah, pleasure.
Taro, for people who don't know your ramen business, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yep. We serve ramen. It's become a little bit popular these days. So basically, it's soup and noodles. It's originated in China, but perfected in Japan. It's like a bone broth usually, served with noodles and a few toppings, and it's sort of got a cult status in the B grade gourmet junk food slash B grade gourmet category in Japan. And I, for one, am a big fan of ramen. So decided to start it on my own 10 years ago in Brisbane.
So, and what's the ramen scene like in Brisbane? Are you a bit of an originator as far as ramen shops go in Queensland?
Yeah, definitely. 10 years ago, it was just basically myself and maybe one more shop. And I think I like to say that I created the category of boutique or artisan ramen here in Brisbane. And the other shop was more down the lines of fast food. We both did our thing, and we're still doing both pretty well these days. But I think I'd like to say that I'm an originator of the passionate ramen in Brisbane.
Okay. I guess ramen is one of those, it's a whole culture. There are so many different strands to it, and there's so many, it's the kind of dish that people get very opinionated about, and they get very opinionated about, where can you get the best ramen. But what I love about yours is, you're so focused on the ingredients. So it's all, beautiful free range eggs, wheat farmed by, family farmers. You do everything from scratch. Is that, why is that? Why did you sort of come to this style of sourcing your ingredients and creating your ramen?
Yeah, good question. Well, I was chatting to you before. I originally am not a chef or a hospitality business person. I am from a business background, and I don't know. The ramen to me was not a business, but it was a hobby initially, and it was just something that I was really passionate about. And if I wanted to start that up as a business, and if I wanted to use that as a means to express myself, I wanted to go to the extreme and call it the Australia's best ramen. And when we are striving to be the best, I think we have to choose the best ingredients. And naturally, I started choosing for the best wheat or the best eggs or the best pork, and it ended up meeting people who are doing wonderful things in their farms, and they were perfect match for my ramen. So it just all ended up in place, I think.
And something else that I think you do, like, I guess if you're in Tokyo or other cities in Japan, the ramen shops are often like, being there is a whole part of the experience. They're very crowded. Maybe you take a ticket, lining up is sort of a part of the experience. You might be, well, I'm not sure at the moment, but in normal times, you're really elbow to elbow with people. Can you talk about how you've sort of differentiated your shops from that style of ramen store? Yeah.
Yeah, good question. Yeah. To me, yes. Like you say, having being in a squish space, elbow to elbow, sometimes having the owner stare in your face and get mad if your phone rings or if your cologne is too strong. He might tell you to just leave the shop. Being that kind of, I don't know, like a cold, really totalitarian dictatorship environment is kind of, part of the fun for me, who's a hardcore ramen freak. But I think for the general public, meals taste much better when you're comfortable and when you're having a good conversation with family or friends. And think that's part of the lifestyle, or the part of, I guess, Brisbane culture or laid back Queensland culture that I really started to love since moving to Brisbane. And yeah, I just wanted to incorporate that in my business as well. So yeah, we try to space out the tables. We have some booth seating, which creates a nice, cozy atmosphere for the group. And that, to me, is part of, I guess, creating a really good memory surrounding our beautiful ramen. So, yeah.
And are you not taken to giving death stares to your customers if they like put the wrong sauce in the wrong bowl of soup?
Yeah, inside I sometimes do. If yeah, customers want to add, like, a copious amount of chili to my shio ramen, which is a really fragrant, delicate dish, I always smile and say, "Here you go." But deep inside, I'm, yeah, doing giving them a death stare. Yep, yep.
It's funny. What are some of the other,
Mm-hmm.
like, how can I come and eat ramen with you, but you will not be death
Mm-hmm.
staring me on the inside? Even the, what are the other no nos?
Well, if as long as somebody has like an interest or respect to ramen, then I'll treat them seriously. But it doesn't have to be a serious ordeal. It can just be a fun meal, and in that kind of sense, yeah, I'm just joking about the death stare inside. If they're having a fun time with the ramen that we're providing, and if they want to customize it a certain way, and if that's the way they like it, then no, it's okay. It's just not the way that I would eat it, but if they're enjoying it, no, it's all good. So yeah, if as long as they have respect, or having a good time, yeah, it's all good, good, and
Cool.
fine by me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh, Something else I think is so interesting about your business
Mm-hmm.
is your 4-win policy. Can you talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
What's your 4-win policy?
Yes. I guess it started to yeah, I started calling it my 4-win policy. I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years back. In the first year, I was really desperate, and I was just trying to make ends meet, and I didn't have any luxury to think about anybody other than myself. But as I went on about my business, I started to, I don't know, feel appreciative of all the support that I'm getting, and I just felt really embraced, and that I guess really happy that my ramen is creating happiness to people in Brisbane. So I came to the realization that we are a part of something bigger, and ideally, I'd like to use my business to create value for all the stakeholders surrounding our business, and that's, I guess, roughly the customers, the staff, the farmers, and myself. So yeah, I think there's four stakeholders, and we want to make a win for all parties involved. So I call it my 4-win policy. So yeah.
So when you're, I guess, innovating in your business, or, you come upon something where you need to make a change, I mean, maybe it's a pandemic. Do you, I guess, refer back to this 4-win policy and work out if, the particular change or adjustment ticks all those boxes?
Yes, definitely. If the environment, when the pandemic initially hit, we were all scared. Staff didn't want to work in an unsafe environment. And yeah, I respect that, and I wouldn't push through to just have the business survive and make force our staff to do something that they're not comfortable with. So yeah, it definitely those are the factors that I think about when I try to take course in my business. And I guess yeah, to give you an example, the thing that made us survive the pandemic was the DIY home packs. We cooked the ramen, we packed it in vacuum packs, froze it, and then we delivered it non-contact. So I think it was a win for all those involved. The customers were still craving ramen; they didn't want to come out to an unsafe environment. Same with the staff, and yeah, we tried to work around it, and that's how this DIY pack came about. So yeah, that's a good example, I think.
Wow. That's so interesting. As we're talking, I realize that I haven't had ramen for so long, and I'm desperate to have one now. And I'm just, what I'm thinking of is that feeling you get with ramen where you've got this massive bowl that's as big as your face, and you just sort of put your face over it and you inhale, and there's just all these different fragrances. But it's more than a fragrance, it's like you're inside an atmosphere. And I mean, it's such an enveloping dish, isn't it? So yeah, you've really got my cravings going.
You're a
uh,
poet. You use your words really well.
Not when I've got a mouthful of noodles, which I hope I get to have sooner rather than later. So what was it like for you to change your business like that? I mean, of course, everybody was doing things on the fly when things first hit. Was it yeah, like how did what was that thought process like for you, and how are you feeling through it all?
Mm, yeah, it was. We didn't have time for emotions, I guess. It was regulations came on overnight, and we had to reduce seats to half overnight, or stop normal self-service buffet style condiments area. Reading all those regulations and applying it to the actual restaurant was a feat in itself. It was a lot of effort and time, and exhausting process, and I didn't really have time to um, put some emotions to it. But yeah, we just had to do what we do to make sure that the business sustains itself, and also make sure that the staff have a workplace. So yeah, I think it was the same with all many employers, business owners. We just um, had to do what we had to do. Yeah, I think. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's, mm-hmm.
And I mean, you've got shops in different
Mm-hmm.
parts of Brisbane. Have you got 4 shops? Is that
That's
right?
correct. Yes.
Okay. So, um, as you reopened, and as Queensland's way ahead of Victoria, where I am in terms of recovery, but did you notice different impacts in your different stores depending on what sort of neighborhood they were in?
Yes, yes. It's still continuing, but the CBD area is very quiet. It used to be one of our most successful shops, but right now it's probably down 40 to 50% in sales.
Mm.
Just reflective of the fact that lots of corporates are deciding to keep their offices shut or working remotely, or maybe even without the fear of the pandemic, most not most but many companies and individuals have come to the realization that yeah, working remotely might be a better way to do it, and it might be something that's going to continue. And we are seeing, yeah, as the CBD shop decreases in revenue, we are seeing that the suburban shops are not increasing compared to previous years, but yeah, relatively speaking, within the four, the most of the customers are going to the suburban shops. Yeah.
Mm. And what do you think's going to happen, as the months roll on and through into 2021? Like, do you anticipate that the city will pick up, or do you feel like it's sort of this is a new normal?
I think this is a new normal, and I am probably going to have to think of ways to revamp um, the business in the city. So I don't know whether it be a change in the menu, or do special events, or we are already taking action. We're doing a special sukiyaki event at the Queen Street, because we've got a lot of capacities in the, for example, the cold room. We are using that as a dry aging stock, and dry aging our own beef, and doing some sukiyaki with the really matured, delicious beef. So yeah, I think we have to
Mm,
think innovatively and try to do what we can to adapt to the new norm. I think, yeah, because I we do have a lot of loyal regulars who come in and give us our support, and their commendations about us maintaining the standards and the quality during this hard times. But yeah, generally the numbers themselves are not enough to keep us fully um, going in the city. So yeah,
yeah,
we have to
yeah.
think of something to supplement it. Yep.
Interesting. And the people that are coming, whether it's in the city or the suburban stores, are they are they after something different? Like, do they tend to be ordering differently to how they did before? Whether they're ordering different things, or is it more, or is it less? Like, how are their habits changed?
I don't see a change in habit. No, I think they're all ordering their usuals, and well, the aside from the temperature is really scorching hot now. So we have a few cold ramens on the menu, and they're trying that. Some of them are really liking it, so they're swapping their usual hot bowls for their cold bowls, and that might be a more of a the climate thing rather than the pandemic or an economic downturn or anything like that. So yeah, the regular customers, I don't see a particular change due to the pandemic, but yeah, um, yeah.
Okay.
hmm
Are you still doing the DIY kits?
Yes, we are. Yes, it's definitely much smaller volumes than we were at the peak of the pandemic, but there's people who have found that that's a convenient way to get a ramen meal at the comfort of their house, and it's a little bit cheaper because they do the cooking themselves. And yeah, we got, I
Mm,
think, regular customers who are taking advantage of that as well. Yeah.
yeah. One of the things that I really appreciate about ramen is the incredible detail that goes into all the different elements. Can you talk about some of the things that we might not realize just from eating from your menu? Can you talk about some of the behind the scenes things that you do that make the ramen what it is?
Um, it's gonna be a long one. I don't know how long
We got
to how much
time.
detail that I should go into, but yeah, basic starting off with the soup and the noodles. Yeah, the soup is a used to be for us a 2 day process. So we would cook copious amounts of pork bones with in a big cauldron for a day, and then strain that, and then on the next day put in another load of bones, and then for a full day, and then strain that. So it's like not just a normal stock pot burning, but it's a double process. Um, and right now we're doing it with the pressure cooker, but it's still a double process where we add bones, and then it's not just simply a big pot plus water plus bones. It's calculating how
Yeah,
many.
there's dimensions to it.
Yeah, yeah. And also in the soup, we usually don't flavor it until the end. We keep the stock without salt, and then we have a separate seasoning sauce, which we measure to the. We have a dedicated 18 milliliter spoon, and plus a 300 cc ladle, so that always the salt content of the soup is to exactly how we want it. And we also add another layer of an aromatic oil, usually, which we also measure to 20 milliliters exactly. So it's all calculated, and it's multi-layered in terms of the soup. And yeah, we also hand make our noodles. So for the tonkotsu noodles, we use a thin, square cut, straight edge noodles with a water content of 28%. But for our different chicken broth, we would use a square cut, medium, thin, curly noodles with a higher egg content and a higher moisture content at around 36%. And for the shoyu ramen or the miso ramen, we would go for a thick, curly noodle, which the moisture content is about 40%. With the moisture content, it creates a different texture in the noodles, and I like to have the tonkotsu soup is the most thickest or the most richest broth. So we want a texture that is very, how do I say, like a abruptly cutting texture as compared to the higher moisture ones. They go with a lighter soup, so they're a little bit more plumper and a little bit more, I don't know, less chewy. So they are both chewy, but in a different context. The Japanese have these different words to explain it, but I still haven't found a word in English. But yeah, it's.
Oh, really? There's words for
Mm-hmm,
different chewiness?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. We have
Oh, I
different
love
words
it. It's
to
so great.
describe different chewiness. That's how much yeah, ramen loving culture Japan is. Well, it's not just about ramen, but yeah, food culture in Japan is probably, ancient, years old, and they've got different words to describe lots of different things. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
it's so amazing. I mean, as you're talking, I'm like, so you don't understand how desperate I am now for ramen. But apart from that,
Mm-hmm.
I just it just makes me fall in love with restaurants and eating out all over again because I mean, as much as we can all make nice things at home, we are not going to go to the level of absolute noodle geekery as you. I just appreciate it so much. It's so great. I'm so grateful for people like you who are going to obsessing over things so
Yeah,
much.
you're a very good interviewer. If I can add a little bit to what I was about this what I was saying. Yes, the point about ramen is the recipe, and lots of because it's a simple dish. It's soup and noodles and some toppings. Um, like you say, it's all refined and it's all really, really meticulously calculated, and there's like many, many hours involved to making the broth and many hours making the noodles, and it's not doable at home. It's probably the most undoable dish to make at home, and unless you're really crazy to the only way that we can do it, because we are serving lots and lots of hundreds of servings a day. That's why we spend days and preparing for these volumes, and that's the only way that we can go down to that meticulous detail. But yeah, it's so as compared to like cooking a steak or cooking a fine Italian pasta dish. You can do it if you have the techniques, but for ramen, you really need the volumes to go through the effort. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
difficult dish
Interesting.
to reproduce. Yes. Mm.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It really is a dish that's designed for restaurants, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
I think
so
so.
many so many dishes, yeah, you could get them in a restaurant or you could make them at home. You could do it better or you could do it worse. But there really are some dishes that you need to batch up, and ramen is certainly one of those. That's so interesting. So, Taro, why do you do it? Like, tell me the satisfaction that you get from doing what you do.
Mm. To me, it's easy. It's like asking a kid, "Why do you play video game all day long?" You know, it's something that I love, and I naturally find myself doing. You know, I'm thinking about ramen every day, and even if I'm not at work, I really honestly end up thinking about, oh, if what if I do this to ramen? So it's part of my life, and you know, if I'm always naturally like that, why not do it as a business? That's how it came about, and I'm still like that 10 years down the track. So yeah, I think I'm pretty I'm natural ramen person. Yeah.
Do you reckon if you stayed in Japan that you'd be doing
Hmm.
ramen?
No, I don't think so, because in Japan, there's so many people who are as crazy as me, and in terms of creating a life living, there are much more efficient ways to make money than ramen. If I was in Japan, because Japan, yeah, it's the level is so high, and I wouldn't even think of doing it myself because I'm so happy eating the different varieties that's on offer. And I think it's more, yeah, being in Brisbane, the city that I love, but this city not having the ramen that I love. So I wanted to combine those two, and I thought that that was my job, to be the bridge to bring the two loves together, I guess. Mm.
Wow, I love it. It's so good. The only sad thing about this story is that it's like your ramen is about 2,000 kilometers from me. But but
Yeah.
oh well. Um, so Taro, are you looking forward to the summer? Are you looking forward to next year? What's your level of optimism like?
Yeah, well, traditionally, summer is not the best season for ramen, like you say. You know, ramen is about you know, sticking your face in front of the bowl, having the steam come up, and you know, the heat encompassing you. And so, in that sense, winter is the natural season for ramen, and summertime it's more about I think the craving doesn't come every day as it does during winter, and it's more like a, you know, once a week or twice a week thing for my customers and me as well. So yeah, summertime is about, I don't know, just trying to hone our craft, and just not lose money, and staying in business. So yeah, we just like to stay quiet during summer and then prepare for a big winter. But I one thing that I am considering right now is there are people who have moved from Brisbane to Sydney or Melbourne, and they sometimes contact me saying, "Hey, is there any ramen places that I can recommend in Sydney or Melbourne?" And unfortunately, I haven't traveled much, but this DIY home pack might be something that we can ship to interstate. So I haven't done a lot of investigating yet, because I think doing that kind of thing might require different licenses and stuff. But I am investigating whether or not I can find a distribution network, or some sort of temperature controlled way of delivering the our taste to Sydney or Melbourne people. So. Hmm.
Ooh. Well, if you need anybody to just check if it ships all right,
Mm-hmm.
in Melbourne,
Yeah.
then, yeah, we can be in touch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
This could work out very well.
Yep.
Um, Taro, it's such a pleasure to speak to you. I've learnt a lot. You've made me very hungry, and yeah, it's a real privilege to get behind the scenes with your ramen shop and learn a little bit more about how you do things in Brisbane. Thank you so much for coming along to have a chat with me today.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. It was a fun time for me as well.
This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about. We spend a week thrashing around each issue, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This